So here are more examples of time variance versus time invariance. And you definitely have to watch the other video or else you won't understand this one. So let's do another example. And I have the other two examples over here just in case you want to see. So let's do another example where we have y of n is equal to n x of n. So let's perform a shift on the input. So we have h of x of t minus t naught, and now every n I see, anytime I see an n, I'll add, or sorry, this is discrete time, so n minus n naught, not t. So this is equal to n minus n naught times x of n minus n naught. So you can see I don't really need to have an x of n, I just need to see an n. For the time shift, in the input, all I'm doing is adding a minus n naught to the n. That's all I'm doing. I'm not really looking at the x of n. I'm not that focused. I'm looking at all the n's. Okay. So that is the time shift on the input. I'll call this equation 1. And let's do a time shift on the output, which is y of n minus n naught, which is equal to, so we had our n x of n, right? So now in this case, for every x of n we see, now we're focusing on the x. Anytime we see an x of n, we look at the n inside. So we're focused on this guy. And if we see an n inside, we substitute that n for n minus n naught. Okay. So we'll get, this will turn into n x of n minus, put extra brackets, n minus n naught, just to show that I substituted it. Okay, so let's call this equation 2, and this is the time shift on the output. So time shift on the output, and we can clearly see that h of n x of n minus a naught, the shift on the input and the shift on the output are not equal. So we could say that is time invariant. And just, let's say for example, this n was a k, and if this n was a k, then you would end up just having k here as well, and a k there, and k here. Then you could see that they are equal. And this is just to give you an example, like I'm just changing the example here. Then it would actually be time invariant if there was a k, not an n. But that was just to give you an example. If it was a constant instead of a n. So, time to move on to the next example and the last example. So for our last example, let's say we have something like y of t is equal to x of t plus c, another constant. So let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's perform a shift on the input, which is represented by, and yeah, it's really repetitive, x of t minus t naught, and that is equal to, so anytime I see a t and just a t, I add a minus t naught to it. And then that's plus c, and that's a shift on the input. Now let's do a shift on the output, y of t minus t naught, and now I'm substituting for x of t. So we have x of t plus c, and just taking this t and substituting it for t minus t naught, which will give me x of t minus t naught plus c, and we can clearly see that equation 1 and 2 are equal to each other, so this system is time invariant. So yeah, those are all the examples, and maybe I'll give you an extra example. Let's say the C was a different well, let's say it wasn't C, let's say it was T. What would happen? Well, we could see that this x of t, when you do a shift, you'll get, so let's do a shift on the input, x of t minus t naught plus t minus t naught. Okay, that's a shift on the input, and we'll call that 1. Let's do a shift on the output, x of t, and now we sub in t minus t naught plus just t, because there is no x of t, and that's the rule for the output. So just to go over it, when you're doing a shift on the output, you substitute t minus t naught for t when you have an x of t. So that sounded pretty confusing, but I have x of t, and I sub in t minus t naught for a shift on the output. And if I have a t, I leave it. I don't do anything with it when I'm shifting on the output. But let's say I'm shifting on the input. The shift on the input, and that's when I add a t minus t naught. The shift on the input is different from the shift on the output. It's a little bit different. So that being said, if this was a t instead of a c, then it would be time variant. So that's it for this video. Hope this helped and clarified everything. Try to fit everything in one page to make it simple. So yeah, goodbye.